V O T E.
That way. My fellow Americans and YouTubers, welcome back to my channel for a special news bulletin report of the federal government and state governments.
I'm your teacher, Miss Slutstrands.
Why is it important?
I object!
Why is it important for these beauty YouTubers?
Silence in the court! Please meet our stenographer, Jer Bear, our court stenographer. Thank you, Jer Bear.
Logo we can't show.
It's okay. So that's Jer Bear. He's also our stenographer / fact checker. So if I say anything wrong, he's gonna be right off camera to tell us if I've gone astray. Okay, so I know that you might be thinking like, I'm a beauty expert or like, I'm a beauty aficionado. Why do I need to listen to this gorgeous person with slut strands tell me about the government? Because it literally affects everyone. Part of appreciating beauty and loving beauty is loving community and showing up for our community members and making sure that we're standing shoulder to shoulder with folks to protect our most vulnerable and really show up and be like the fullest version of ourselves, which is really that we're human. And I think as humans, we wanna help each other. There's a lot going on that we may not know about, that we may think that our voice doesn't matter, but our voice does matter. Your individual voice carries so much weight, and you owe it to yourself to know what's going on around you and how to exercise your voice to make a change and to be a part of society. So, honey, if you want a little crash course on American federal government stuff, this is your class, and if you don't, go watch me straighten my hair. In the United States Constitution, the federal government is divided into 3 branches: the judicial, the executive, and the legislative. The executive branch at the highest level in the federal government, you have the president, then you have the vice president, and then you have their cabinet. So that's gonna be like the Secretary of State, Secretary of Transportation, Secretary of Education, Attorney General. All of these are appointed by the president. On the state level, you have the governor as the head of the executive branch in each state. Then you have the lieutenant governor, and then you have the Attorney General for each state. So that's gorgeous executive branch. Also, the executive branch is in charge of carrying out the laws so that they happen. And they also can veto laws. The judicial branch is in charge of evaluating the law and then settling any disputes around the interpretation of laws. The executive and the judicial system do share a lot in common in that the executive or the president is in charge of appointing spots to the Supreme Court that then the legislative branch has to fill. And it's not just the Supreme Court that the president is in charge of, also the Circuit Court of Appeals and all the district courts. The governor also can appoint judges. So governors and the president can all appoint judges. So it's really important to be engaged in not only the presidential election, but also your gubernatorial elections. Yes. The third branch of government, which is super important, is the legislative branch. And their main function is to write the laws. So when it comes to the legislative branch, you have a couple different things going on. You have the federal legislature, which is comprised of Congress. That is comprised of the House of Representatives, and then you have the Senate. Currently, the Speaker of the House is Nancy Pelosi. The Speaker of the House is third in line to the presidency. The Speaker of the House is like the highest level of leader within the party. Because then like the Republicans will have like their minority leader, right? So right now like Kevin McCarthy's the minority leader. One of the reasons why this election is really important is because like Kevin McCarthy could be the Speaker of the House. He is like a January 6th like denier, nightmare, racist, xenophobic, misogynistic, sexist. He just like eats Trump's ass for a living. Anyway, so there's 435 members of the House of Representatives. Their election cycles are every 2 years. Every single person has to get reelected every 2 years. That's part of what's really hard for the House of Representatives because basically they're always kind of having to worry about like getting reelected and fundraising and campaigning, which takes up like at least half of one of those 2 years. So the House is like kind of a revolving door. The House of Representatives can also impeach a president, which is, you know, an important thing. Then you have the Senate, which those elections are held every 6 years or a full term for a senator. Both the House of Representatives and the Senate are really important because they all have to pass these bills to become law to then go to the president's desk to be signed. They have to approve the budgets. They also have to be the ones to declare war. Even though we've seen a lot of presidents like unilaterally attack people, Congress is really meant to be the one who like can authorize or declare war. Then you have the state legislator in each state, which is arguably as important, if not more important than the federal, to the people that live in that state. State legislators are incredibly powerful in writing laws that affect the people within that state. But right now we're seeing this huge uptick, this huge spate of anti-trans and anti-gay bills. You have the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, the trans sports bans in like Louisiana, Alabama, Iowa. We also have states like Alabama that have now passed a law that felonizes gender-affirming care of anyone under the age of 19. So that means if you're a parent and you take your kid to the therapist, if that kid is trans, if that kid is gender nonconforming, and you take that kid to a therapist, you could be charged with a felony. The therapist could be charged with a felony. If your kid is trans or gender nonconforming and they're on hormone blockers, which are completely reversible, they're endorsed by every major American medical community, like it's completely safe. In fact, these puberty blockers are often used in cisgender kids, little boys or little girls that are experiencing precocious puberty, and they will be given these pills like so that they don't go through puberty too early, and they are totally reversible. And also, I may add, what are healthcare decisions? Personal. What also are they? Nobody's business. Gender expression is a completely personal thing, and these laws are literally being passed to like terrorize trans kids and their families, and it's a complete government overreach. This is incredibly dangerous and one of the many reasons why we have to be aware of our local races. And oftentimes, these state legislator races, they're literally like, there's like not that much money that's spent on them, like $5,000, $10,000, it determines like an entire race. So even if you think your voice doesn't matter, even if you don't have money to donate, your time volunteering in your state legislative races can make such a huge difference. If you're interested in learning more about this, you can follow this organization called Sister District, and they focus on state legislatures. They are really helpful. Go State Leg. State legislators can do a bunch of great stuff too. They can also legislate like justice and compassion. They can also help stuff. They can also like make marijuana recreational legal in your state. They can also like do a lot of stuff to undo corruption right in your backyard in your home state. So state legislatures are really important. Then also there is local governments, city governments, which are really important. That's your mayor, that's your city council, that's your school board. There's a lot of really important policy that gets decided there, like curriculums, like budgets for schools, like zoning laws. There's a lot that goes on at the city level and the school board level that's really important for us to be open and aware of. There's also elected officials that work for like the Democratic and Republican parties. So there's like the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee. And both of those actually have elected officials that have a lot to do with how each party reaches out and kind of like canvasses in your community. So if you're really passionate about like, if you feel like the Democrats have really lost their way or you feel like the Republicans have really lost their way, you can actually like sign up and work with the Democratic or Republican, hopefully the Democratic National Committees, and work to like bring your values and your passions to the fore and hopefully make positive change in your party and in your community. So the legislative branch writes the laws, the executive branch carries out the laws, and the judicial branch settles disputes about what the laws mean or like interprets the laws. All in all, there's a lot to understand about the government, but here's what I want to say to you all. I believe that you have the heart and the mind and the soul to delve into this information, use this as a jumping off point, and if some of this information was new for you, that is totally okay. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's so much to learn. There's so much to like deal with in adulting. So it's okay if you didn't know some of this stuff, but this is really just a jumping off point for you to get into these issues, learn about how they affect you and your community. And while every teacher isn't this gorgeous with their slut strands and this cute outfit, there is a lot of amazing teachers and a lot of amazing resources out there for you to get involved in the issues that matter to you. So I hope this was fun. I hope you loved learning about the gorgeous Constitution and the 3 branches of government in the US. I love you. Thanks for coming to our channel. We'll talk more about hair soon. Love you from me and my slut strands. And go vote!